Tommy Robinson has been jailed at Woolwich Crown Court for 18 months after admitting contempt of court.
I mean, he's effectively been jailed for repeating false allegations he made over the past 2 years that were in breach of a court injunction. For 2 years he didn't, and then he started repeating them in online interviews and in a film. He made a 90-minute film that was shown a number of times.
Tommy Robinson's Christmas. No family gatherings, no festive cheer, just another day in a high-security cell. But this isn't just about one man's holiday. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. It's about a system that seems to operate on two sets of rules. One for those who challenge the status quo, another for everyone else. In this video, we're breaking down the shocking details of Robinson's case.
This is a message to each of you who are thinking about the 26th of October. Maybe you're worried, maybe you're scared. Maybe you think you might lose your job, maybe you think you might get put in prison. Let's send a message to the world, to Keir Starmer especially, that the fight is not gone, okay? Not in us anyway. I am travelling back to the UK for literally the fight of my life. Men right now are fighting for their lives in prison, who have been falsely imprisoned, unlawfully imprisoned, pressured and forced and blackmailed to plead guilty to crimes they haven't committed. All of this will come up in our documentary, which will premiere on the 26th of October.
And what it means for freedom of speech in Britain. As Robinson spends his Christmas behind bars, a new twist has emerged that's raising eyebrows across the UK. Visitors to Tommy Robinson are now required to sign a gag order, legally barring them from discussing anything they talk about during their visits. This isn't just unusual, it's practically unheard of in the British prison system. Typically, prisoners in the UK enjoy fairly open communication with their visitors. Family members, friends, and even journalists can usually discuss a wide range of topics without fear of legal repercussions. But Robinson's case is different. The authorities have decided to clamp down on information flowing in and out of his cell. Why the special treatment? The official line is that it's about controlling sensitive information related to Robinson's case, particularly concerning the Southport incident. But many are questioning whether this is really about public safety or if it's an attempt to silence a controversial figure. Legal experts are sounding the alarm. This gag order doesn't just affect Robinson, it muzzles anyone who speaks to him. It's a move that could set a dangerous precedent for civil liberties in the UK. After all, if the government can silence visitors to one prisoner, what's to stop them from doing it to others? Ian Atchison, a former head of security at HMP Wandsworth, has weighed in on the situation. He noted that while Robinson's civil offence doesn't typically warrant such extreme measures, the authorities are likely using the gag order to mitigate risks associated with his notoriety. But at what cost to free speech? The impact on Robinson is clear. This order severely limits his ability to share his side of the story. He's effectively been isolated from public discourse, unable to communicate his experiences or concerns to the outside world.
He believes the public has the right to have all the truth, not just what's provided by the mainstream media. He was following his principles. He passionately believes in free speech, he said, freedom of the press, and his overwhelming desire is to expose the truth. The judge said that the breaches were not accidental, negligent, or merely reckless. They were deliberate, direct, and flagrant.
For a man who's built his reputation on speaking out, this silence is particularly striking. But the implications of this gag order extend far beyond Tommy Robinson. It raises serious questions about free speech in the UK. Are we seeing the beginning of a trend where the government can selectively silence voices it finds problematic? And if so, who might be next? As we dig deeper into Robinson's case, we're uncovering a pattern of treatment that seems to differ markedly from other public figures who found themselves on the wrong side of the law. And that's where our story takes another unexpected turn. Imagine a world where inciting violence is met with a slap on the wrist, while contempt of court lands you in solitary confinement. Welcome to the UK's justice system in 2023. As we compare two recent cases, a disturbing pattern emerges that goes far beyond Tommy Robinson. Enter Labour councillor Ricky Jones, who recently made headlines with a shocking public statement. During a speech in London, Jones declared, "We need to take action against these people who are destroying our country." This wasn't a vague call to political action, it was an open incitement to violence against conservatives. Yet, despite the gravity of his words, Jones faced minimal legal consequences. He was released on bail and allowed to celebrate Christmas with his family. Now let's contrast this with Tommy Robinson's situation. Robinson sits in a high-security cell, separated from his loved ones during the holidays. His crime? Contempt of court, stemming from repeated breaches of a court order related to a libel case. The result? A $100,000 damages ruling against him and a prison sentence. The disparity in treatment between these two cases is striking. Jones, who openly called for violence, walks free. Robinson, whose offences are civil rather than violent, finds himself behind bars with unprecedented restrictions on his visitors.
For me, behind bars, the way I was treated, I was taken to a prison with quite a low Muslim population. What I'm known for is criticising Islam, so there's been many planned attempts to murder me and kill me in this country. Not seeing or speaking to anybody, and they used the reason that I was in danger. Now, they would have had risk assessments before I went there. I was purposely taken to be put in danger so that then that reason can be used to then put me on solitary confinement. And it took months before I got the opportunity to go before a judge. Once the judge heard what had happened in the trial, we found so many illegal and wrongdoings within this kangaroo court.
This glaring contrast raises serious questions about the consistency of law enforcement in the UK. Statistics paint an even more troubling picture. There's a significant disparity in the prosecution of incitement to violence cases, with a notable lack of action against left-leaning activists compared to right-wing figures like Robinson. This trend has led many to question whether we're witnessing selective law enforcement based on political leanings. Joe Mulhall from Hope Not Hate offers a perspective on Robinson's case, noting he's becoming more hardline as his reach expands rather than moderating his stance. This observation highlights the potential dangers of Robinson's growing influence, but it also begs the question, why is Robinson labeled a high-risk criminal while figures like Jones remain free despite advocating violence? Perhaps the most ironic twist in this tale is the impact of Robinson's legal troubles on his online following. Since being reinstated on X, formerly Twitter, Robinson's follower count has skyrocketed from around 400,000 to over 1 million. His content now receives a staggering 55 million impressions. It seems that attempts to silence Robinson have only amplified his voice. As we grapple with these contradictions in the UK's justice system, we're left wondering, what does this mean for political discourse in Britain? Are we witnessing the erosion of equal justice under law, or is this simply a case of misunderstood priorities in law enforcement? As we've seen, Tommy Robinson's treatment in prison raises serious questions about justice in the UK. From the unprecedented gag order on his visitors to the stark contrast with cases like Ricky Jones, it's clear there's a troubling disparity at play. Robinson's online following has surged despite, or perhaps because of, his legal troubles, highlighting the complex relationship between censorship and influence. But what does this mean for the future of free speech and equal justice in Britain? Are we witnessing the erosion of fundamental rights, or is this simply a misguided attempt to manage a controversial figure? Regardless of your views on Robinson, it's crucial to critically examine these issues. The health of our democracy depends on fair and consistent application of the law. As citizens, we have a responsibility to hold our justice system accountable and ensure it protects the rights of all, not just those we agree with.